Good day to everyone. My name is Laura Pranti Tutom. I am the PhD candidate in music composition, studying in University Pendidikan Sultan Idris, and currently I'm the music lecturer from University Malaysia Sarawak. Today I am going to present you the slides presentation entitled Interpretation, Imagination, and Transformation in the Creation of the Timang Sekori. Content number 1. Timang Sekori, the introduction and background. Timang Sekori, it is a new musical composition developed to visualize the monotonous musical note widely used in the evocation of the Timang Tuah rituals by the Iban community in Kapit, Sarawak. The name Timang originates from the root word of Timang Tuah, and Sekori is taken from the lottery term 4D and combined with the X and Y axis. The use of the X and Y coordinates is to obtain a new series of pitch, obtained through a combination of random lucky numbers. The Timang Sekori is made up of 7 movements, known as the Renggat or level, with 8 minutes per composition. Each Renggat comprises several sections or parts, and the overall composition lasts approximately 56 minutes. The selection and application of musical instruments depicting the chanting text will be explained according to scenery, setting, and events taking place in the spiritual world, like for example the animal, insect, and female or male deities. The structure of the composition of the Timang Sekori for the whole Renggat will be through composed songs that replace the narrative with no repetitions for the continuous journey. The idea of the songs in the Renggat comes from the rhythmic motif of the taboh, or Iban traditional music taboh, comprises of berbendai, small gong, gendang or dadumbak drum, tawa, and a set of 6 to 9 smaller gongs, which is the engkromong. The Timang Tuah chanting song, borrowings for the drone and pentatonic scale comes from Sapek, as well as from the band singing style like their ornamentations, and the melody tune from Pantun Iban, or else known as the poetry of Iban known as Pantun Iban, or simply Iban song. It is usually sung by a woman to compliment, cherish, praise the guest, and at times demonstrate sorrow and sadness in life. Timang Sekori comes from a source working with the Timang Tuah ritual. Timang in Iban means to chant while hitting the floor with a staff and encircling the pandong, which is a circular enclosure covered with the puak kumbuk, that is the Iban weaving, filled with tawa, Iban gong, vas, and iron rod. Timang is the highest level of Iban ritual, as it is an act of special invitation to the Petara, which is the deity, symbolically carried out using songs performed by the singer known as lembambang or bans. Tuah in Iban means luck. The ritual is conducted by 3 lembambang and would last for 5 to 9 days. Second content, theoretical concept of the Timang Sekori. The name Timang or Chan is used because the entire composition originates from the lyrics and plot found within the Timang Tuah chanting ritual. The Sekori refers to the coordinates X and Y combined with the lottery euphemism. By using the concept of axis X and Y combined with the forecast numbers of 4 and 5, which is randomly selected digits, the study arrived at this acronym. Please refer Table 1. The Table 1 axis X and Y, which was produced, originates from 12 chromatic notes. The middle intercept in Table 1 axis X and Y is the center marked with the numeral 0. The right and top XY lines are the positive XY center line, and the left and bottom XY center lines are the negative center line, which is negative X and negative Y. The middle XY positive line and middle XY negative are valued from 0 to 11. At center X positive, values 0 to 11 are chromatically equivalent to notes C to B, while for center Y positive, values 0 to 11 are equivalent to notes C to B chromatically upwards. For center X negative, values 0 to 11 are equivalent to notes C to B chromatically to the left, while center Y is negative, values 0 to 11 are equivalent to notes C to B chromatically below. An example of application would be as follows. The lucky number is 8765 and the intercept would be G. The intercept G XY 8765 positive would be D sharp, D, C sharp, C, while intercept G negative X and negative Y 8765 would be B, C, C sharp and D. Hence, intercept G 8765, the series of pitch produced would be D sharp, D, C sharp, C, B, C, C sharp and D. Tutom composition is created from a combination of 4D digits, and the XY coordinates will help formulate the series of pitch. The table of content, series of pitch, is as follows. Third content, the methodology. This study uses a mixed method design and includes qualitative and quantitative data. The fieldwork was carried out in Kapit, Sarawak on 17 March 2015. The study includes observation and interview data from leading traditional bearers like Lemambang Bans, community leaders, and at 3 stages before, while, and after of the ritual. Experienced elders and youth were interviewed informally. During the practice sessions, the researcher distributed the questionnaires to the orchestra players of Sultan Idris Education University prior to the performance and to the audience after the presentation. The audio recordings were played to the music students of University Malaysia Sarawak to obtain feedback on the questionnaires. Content number 4, findings. Meanings that exist in science, signifiers, and language exist in the creation of music. These include compositions based on styles that resemble the Renaissance era to contemporary music, that is the 20th century composition. The musical scripts generally include signs and symbols such as expression markers, tempo, time signature, key signature, and each have their own meaning. Viewed from the perspective of the audience, individuals will have their own perception, emotion, and preference, and this would include assessment of the composition in terms of meaning, comprehension, evaluation, and self-appreciation. Also, many of these properties are subject to the individual's musical experience. Now, interpretation also means to analyze, explain, provide meaningfulness, create meaning, opinion, or highlight a theoretical view of an object following deep reflection and intense consideration. Therefore, the ability to provide depth and meaning to the musical composition is to ensure that understanding and meaning is not compromised and not deviate too far from the original. Imagination in narrative and descriptive form. Figure 3, excerpt of drawing 2 in 4th Rengat, that is on the left, and excerpt of drawing 3 in 6th Rengat on the right side. The forms of the descriptive program music used in the Timang Sekuri replicated the sounds of the environment and infused animal sounds with the mystic of the spiritual world. This effort is meant to transform a traditional art piece into a music composition. The composition is a descriptive musical composition of a traditional narrative. The descriptive text narrated the journey to the invisible spiritual world experienced by the Lembambang. All the pictures from the sounds of the visible world and invisible world required high levels of imaginative skills, which were then transformed to a music. Transformation in the composition of Timang Sekori. The definition of transformation is to experience a change in character, shape, and setting. In other words, transformation refers to a change from an existing situation to a new dimension with the aim of improvising an existing form in terms of quality and achievement. With the Timang Sekori, care was taken to ensure that the change in presentation of the musical text for the ritual of Timang Tuah was not disturbed, but the story within the text had to be transformed to become a musical performance suited to a wider audience. The concept of transformation used in this writing is based on the identification, comprehension, and addition of new meanings to structure, cosmology, belief in deities, taboos, rituals, and individuality. The next step was coming up with a formula or theoretical design. This was obtained through an in-depth study of existing data and reanalyzing the data in terms of motivic transformation, which include attention to repetition, augmentation, and diminution. This helped the researcher arrive at the theoretical design. Excerpt of score for first Rengat section 2 from bar 17 until 20, that is the graphic score. Bar 17 is assigned to rest. At bar 18, the pictures of crickets were included and the sounds of the cricket chirping is played by the soprano singer at high range and mid range. At bar 19, the picture of Cikada or Indok Ngingit in Niban is included. As for depicting farm animals, the picture of ducklings and chicken were displayed. The clucking of the chicken began with a high range and alternate with a low range. As for the duck, the sounds are placed at mid-range. At this bar, the visual image of the scenery from the perspective of Aji and Sigai are displayed. Excerpt of drawing 4 of timeline sequence. The fourth Rengat contains 4 drawings with each section constituting a duration of 2 minutes and the vertical line that is on an A4 size paper. It is subdivided into 10 columns, with each column lasting 12 seconds. Should the line in the drawing rise, then the tone and accompanying pitch would rise as well and is played as such by the players. The approach used in the fourth Rengat motif for drawing 4 would be approach 15 with center D sharp Y and negative Y 3784. F sharp, A sharp, B, G, C, G sharp, G, and B. Conclusion. The visualization of the plot and storyline of an ancient musical narrative, like the Timang Tuah, requires various levels of interpretation, imagination, and execution before coming up with the final musical composition. The stages begin from the initial participation and observation stage to data collection, analysis of the actual ritual of Timang Tuah, and systemic patterning. Next is the level of interpretation of data from the original text. This initiates a leap of imagination involving visualization of the data and transformation of the motif using various musical notations and creative constructions. The research outcome showed that a large number of 88% of music students from University Malaysia Sarawak and University Pendidikan Sultan Idris who attended the performance of the Timang Sekori composition understood and appreciated the output to the extent that many were eager to see the actual Timang Tuah. Audience who lacked background in contemporary music found themselves relying on the program book containing the synopsis for each Rengat and outlines of Timang Sekori composition distributed beforehand to understand the interpretation, imagination, and transformation of the Sekori chant. The references are as followed. Thank you.